You were in love with the notion of pop stardom years ago, and if so, are you still?
Not so much pop stardom. I mean, I've always wanted to be in a band and play with other people. Oops, on the door. And no, I always want, I always wanted to be in a band. I don't know about pop stardom. I don't know. Don't think I really knew what it involved. In Newport, where I come from, there wasn't that many people my own age who played in bands, and even if they did play in bands, it was usually covers bands because it's the only way to make money. And I just thought that there must be more people in London, more, people my own age. And that was the main reason for moving down here, to get a band together.
Well, how difficult is it to be in a relationship when so many people seem to know so much about your private life? Whether they do or not, they seem to, or think they do, or read about it.
Yeah.
Is it difficult?
It's actually not that difficult because of the kind of personalities involved. I can imagine it could be very difficult. It's actually, I actually don't have a problem with it too much. I think Damon and I can just really close the door and no one really knows at all. I mean, I've never read anything that kind of gets it.
Sure, but by the same token, if a foot is put wrong, and I've got to use the other celebrity couple since Princess Diana and Charles are gone, I mean, Hugh Grant, etc. I mean, it's just wild. It's crazy.
Well, I've kind of made it really clear that I don't care what Damon does.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's, our kind of get-out clause that I don't care. So, tabloids aren't going to feel like they've got a massive sort of wind-up if Damon's caught snogging someone or...
Right.
It doesn't really bother me too much.
But I mean, surely something has been taken away in some ways with the fact that you've been going out with them for a good few years, and yet now they're the biggest band in Britain for 10 years, maybe. Does that make it more difficult?
Generally, we just get on really well and have a nice time when we see each other, and I don't think anyone or anything can really take that away from you, so...
Are you able to stand back and look and say, wow, I'm glad I'm not in the exact same position as Justine because of, if you like, the tabloid interest in her and her relationship? That, like, you can say, I can do without a bit of that. It's fine just being in a famous band, that's enough.
Well, it does get quite hard, all interviews. Like today, getting up this morning, I was really tired, and I think Justine does take a lot of that weight, really, and I know it gets her down sometimes. And yeah, I am quite relieved I'm not in that position, and that I can sort of sit back and write songs more, and you don't get all the media attention.
Well, the relationship that you had with Justin, it went from great to not so great. So within the band, I mean, how is it now in terms of, say, the two of you, first of all?
Well, we get on brilliantly. I mean, Justin and I've shared a house for like the past 3 years, and he still lives here. We're just best mates. He's an excellent person, and we get on really well. And I mean, even when we weren't getting on, we were still getting on, if you know what I mean. It's just we knew each other too well, I think. But we get on brilliantly.
Well, in the same way as Justine and Damon's relationship is difficult enough in terms of the way a lot of it, whether they like it or not, has to be lived through the press or the tabloids or whatever, do you find in some ways that maybe the relationship between you and Justin was getting in the way of the band?
Well, I don't know. I think we tried to keep the relationship totally separate from the band. And if we had any sort of arguments with each other, that would be kept out of the way of, when we were rehearsing and things. But I think it's definitely hard to sort of have a media relationship or any sort of work, relationship.
One day, paper, don't on his fences, loaded over by your house, it's so basic. I think you're faking, have a good time, but don't get into mine. Do you recommend I wear a what? Direct and live or too clear? Constant and selective.
Well, the madness of touring and what it does to people, what about being on stage? Is that 1 hour almost like a form of therapy that you can whack your hand up against this yoke?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not good because, like when we were doing the Lollapalooza, we actually had to really work for our audience to be interested in you. So you're getting on stage and it's boiling. It was really, really hot over there. So, I mean, just to be able to stand up for the whole show, because you think you're going to pass out, it's so hot from jumping around on stage anyway, and you've got the sun in your face. And the audience is all seated, so people at the back can't just come and sit at the front. They've got to have tickets to get to the front. That can be really annoying because you just sort of, all the people who want to see you are miles away and you can't see them because the sun's in your eyes, and it's hard to get the feedback then. But a lot of the gigs we do, I mean, small venues and manic, because, that's great to get really good energy from that.
If you want to, I will let you be. I can read your mind. If you want to, I will let you.
So, Justine, is Elastica a democracy, or are you just the driving force, so that you just have the final say? Which is it?
I think it's more of a democracy than it ever was, really. I think at the beginning, Donna was quite sort of wide-eyed about the music industry and stuff, and in many ways she sort of relied on me to make decisions, but you know, I think as it goes along, we all know the same kind of stuff, and I think everyone's opinion is totally sort of considered.
But there does have to be somebody making, if you like, final decisions, and that somebody's got to be you, right?
Yeah, but I would never make a final decision without sort of talking to Donna and Justin and discussing stuff with them at length. And I certainly wouldn't think that my opinion was necessarily more valid than theirs.
If you didn't think that the person who's your spokesperson or is making the final decisions for you is doing the right thing, then you'd have loads of confrontation all the time, and you wouldn't be able to all come to any decisions ever. I mean, I think we've all pretty much got the same outlook on life and know what direction we're going in. And in that case, I know, you know, I can rely on Justine to sort of make the right decisions if I'm, you know, I'm not there and stuff like that.
Do you think Elastica have been lucky?
Yes.
And do you think you've made your own luck?
Yes.
And like, have you seen so many other bands who've made so much good music that have never really got across, and that's where the luck is?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been in the right place at the right time, bumping into the right people. I mean, I could have met totally different people when I moved to London, be doing different music now. I mean, it's all been at the right place and the right time, and been doing something exciting and new. I think there's definitely an energy when we all met, which just happened to be there, and you know, it was luck. It was something, you know.
What about the chances, though, of the band falling apart? I mean, there was one stage there when Donna and Justin fell in love and then fell out of love very visibly, and now you have Annie out of the band as well. Is there a crumbling empire of, wow, there they are up there and suddenly gone? Or is it just, that's the way it goes?
It's just the way it goes. I mean, I think we're all quite relaxed people, and you know, we've always felt that when it's not fun, we should stop doing it. And that's why Annie left, because she just wasn't finding it fun. And I don't know what's going to happen. I think that, you know, life generally has its kind of ups and downs, and you have to sometimes kind of hang on for dear life. And that's obviously something that you have to do when you're in a band as well.